Well, we got all of the knives in the chopper here. Went around them twice with a torque wrench. We've got this shear bar flipped over and we are in good shape. These are a corn knife. If you didn't follow us on the last video here, we took the hay knives all out. We put the corn knives on. And we've got that just about ready to go. We can close this up, throw some grease at it. We're gonna check the blower paddles out, make sure they are right where they need to be. And then once we get that done, we can slide the kernel processor in. So we got a couple other projects going on here next door. Jered is putting a, it's a DVG 35 commercial valve on this superliner here. It's basically the same valve that we have on the two Freightliners. And this one's got a DVG 35 as well. And Nate's putting a starter on this Freightliner. This is where the love of the Freightliner truck at Horgan Family Dairy all started, on this farm here. This is a 90, what is this, a 99 or an 01? 2001 FL 112. It's got a little C10 in it with a, what is this transmission called? Super 10 transmission in it. So Nate, he just loves this truck. Oh, yeah. Nate, Jered too. So Jered's got a bracket that he is making for his hydraulic valve to sit onto. That's right over here on the bench. And this is just a single work section valve. This actually has a motor spool on it, made for running hydraulic motors. So when that valve gets returned to neutral, it's free flowing in both directions, so that when you're going full force in one direction and then decide to shut your hydraulic valve down, it doesn't deadhead the hydraulic pump. You can run them with a cylinder spool, but it's not recommended. So we got the other Freightliner that we ended up just getting put together. We got that pulled up out back here, and that is going to get an oil change done to it as well. We had some issues with the check engine light coming on. I think I'm out of the woods on that. I think it just needed to be run. It had some codes for the the diesel particulate filter and all that crap. It kept blowing them codes here, but the light is off now. I hauled a couple of crappy loads of bunk clean outs to the field here, and the light went out, and we think we're out of the woods with that one, but we need to get the oil changed on it. We've already swapped out a set of fuel filters. We don't know when the oil was changed on this last. It could have oil in there from 3 years ago. So we're just gonna keep after it here. And Jered's also got a PTO that he's gonna be putting on this truck as well, if he doesn't already have it on there. No, it's not on there yet. He's gonna mount his valve right here and run an air control to it up in the cab. And then he can also run the valve from the outside of the truck. It's a double acting valve, so he can run that fan on this tanker in both directions. You get a stone lodge or something, you can rock it out and run it backwards. So looks like he's got his holes drilled for his valve unit here. He's got it mounted off center, and then if he wants to someday, he can add different work sections. If he wants to run this with a dump trailer, he's gonna have to get a cylinder spool to run a hoist on a dump trailer, or anything for that matter. So got your right bolts. So it looks like he's got enough room for maybe 2 or 3 more work sections there. Well, we're gaining here. Nate's got the service about done on this old girl. What do you think of doing the service on this one? Front end's a little different, ain't it? Yeah. He's got the oil changed on this, and he's just running down through it with a grease gun here, and that'll be done. Jered's gaining on this super liner. He's putting a PTO on. He had a transmission oil cooler that was a little bunged up, so he's got a new one of them going in. Got that sitting right on the floor right there. Then he's got his new PTO, of course, sitting on the creeper. So he's got some oil lines that he's replacing here on the transmission. If we can get a peek in underneath here, because he needs to get them done before he slaps the PTO on there. Well, it's a greasy, grimy mess working underneath these things, but it is what it is. So we've got the chopper, well, not quite done yet, but we're gaining. We've got the kernel processor. We brought it over here onto the pallet, and then there's a winch on an arm. We raised that up, getting ready to set that into place. Now this kernel processor is going to be the 4th year this year, and it's got a new set of rolls in it. So these rolls here are brand new rolls, new bearings, and we are ready to go. So we're going to go ahead and push that in there and set it down into place here. Alright, we've got this setting down in there. I don't have it quite cranked into place yet. I've got to put the bolts in there that kind of hold it into place. We've got to get our belt on and stuff like that. And then once we get it bolted down, we can crank it back down into place here. All right, we're all hooked up. Got a grease line hooked up. Got the electric wire harness hooked up so we can adjust the rolls from the cab. Then we've got our belts on. The belts were a real mongrel to put on. They're brand new. I've gotten 3 years out of the last set, and I just didn't feel like putting the old set on again. I've got this set here and then one more spare set to put on there. Now what I'm doing is I'm cranking the kernel processor back down into the working position here. We have bolted it to the back side of the actual transition chute, and what you can do is you can crank this up out of the way if you want to go into doing hay and you don't want to run your kernel processor obviously for hay, because you just don't need to run the crop through the rolls. So we're cranking this back down until it gets all the way down into place. It's just easier to put the belts on when you more or less have it up top. For whatever reason, I find that that's easier to do that way. Some people like to put them in with it all the way down, but I've had about the best luck putting them in with it cranked all the way up. So we're just about cranked all the way in, and that's how the kernel processor is going to ride right there. So we are all set to go. Just got to run some calibrations on the kernel processor itself here, and then we can put the head on and start taking a peek at that. Alright, we've got the chopper all ready to go here. I ended up checking all of the gearboxes on the head, gave that a full service, and we are ready to roll. Everything is all set on it. We got the KP in there, got the pipe extension on. It's all ready for corn. Jered, he is about done putting this wet line on. He's just hooking up some hoses. We're gonna put a gauge on this one just like we did with the mother trucks. And what do you got? One more hose. Got one more hose to hook up. And he has a couple of air lines here to hook up. Now he ended up putting a brand new PTO on this. It's got a Muncie PTO, and it's got a Muncie pump on there as well. Now this is the same pump that we run or have on the two Freightliners, and he ended up putting a new transmission cooler on this as well. You can just barely see it there. Let me shine some light on the subject here. But he's got that all nicely done up, and this is going to be ready to roll out here in a little while. Just got to get a couple of the last little things finished up here, and this will be able to spread manure. What we'll be able to do is we'll be able to spread manure and haul silage at the same time. Before, when we chopped in past years, we'd have the big tires on the 900, and we didn't like hauling manure with the big tires on there. It just puts a lot of wear on the tires, and Jered says this truck doesn't need flotation tires on it. The wheelbase is so short on this, plus with the camelback suspension in this truck, this will go about anywhere. He ended up putting trash hauler tread on this. These are recaps. He actually had these on his Freightliner, took them off and put them on the Mack here, and it got raining the other day when they were field spreading. You could see all the mud and stuff up on the fenders. One of the guys actually got one of the straight trucks stuck. Jered pulled up next to him, offloaded the load onto the semi-trailer. He went and spread the load off. Did you have to pull him out afterwards?
Yeah,
or he'd drive out. And then he pulled them out after he ended up getting them empty. So we'll have to take a little ride in this sometime with Jered here, and we'll show you what this truck's all about. But I better get back to helping him here. I've got to weld this bracket on there for the gauge. We're going to put a gauge on there right about here, and we've got to get a relief valve for it as well. This valve doesn't have a relief. Probably don't really need one with a manure pump on there, but the problem is it'll run up to, oh, that pump could build 5,000 psi and never back down. So you kind of need to have the reliefs in place so that you have a more or less a safety net, or you're going to be blowing hoses and everything else. So yeah, that looks like that'll root through there pretty good, huh? Is that hitting there? This valve body here, ended up by finding this online, and what it has is a power beyond outlet cover, meaning that it's got full system pressure at this port here. So we have to return that oil to tank, or this is just going to be running by the relief. It'll build pressure up, push the relief off, run the oil by the relief, and then through the return, and you're just going to build a lot of heat by doing that. So I mean, it's doable, but at the same time, you might as well just return that excess high pressure oil back to tank, providing you're not using any of it. It's going to be no different than running the oil just actually through the return. So we better keep after it here. Well, we got this all ready to go. Ended up putting a gauge on there just like the other ones that we've done. So this has got an authentic wet line on it, and it's going to have power in both directions, which he didn't have that before. It was just running off the dump pump, which those pumps are designed for dump trailers. Although this won't be able to dump a dump trailer, however, we can add a valve to it, a single acting cylinder valve, and we would be able to run one of them with it, providing we end up getting a dump trailer someday. So this will be able to run in both directions, like I was saying. Be able to add as many as 3 more valves on that valve body before we have to add on to that little deck plate that it's sitting on. So he's got to get some paint thrown on there, but he's just going to run it the way it is for now, and that should be the way she goes. Well, folks, that is gonna do it for this video. Next video will probably be chopping, so I want to thank you for watching, and we will catch you at the next video. it.